Hey, welcome everyone back to another SARE City Highlights event. So this week we're going to be talking about Jacksonville in Florida. As you guys are aware, we are going to be heading to Florida in only 3 weeks. We're going to go to Orlando and Jacksonville between February 23rd to the 28th with a side optional extra day excursion to Disneyland or Universal Studios. So if you guys are interested in joining us, we'll drop the link later for you guys. We still have a couple more spots left. And sign up is until February 10th. So it's only until next Friday if you want to join us. It's only $400 and a lot of your meals are going to be covered and tours. And we're also going to be doing a really cool boat ride over in Jacksonville for you guys to check out the city. So before we start, just a couple rules and announcements. We love questions. We definitely want lots and lots of questions. So what you can do is go into the chat box if you have questions and drop them in. Or if you're watching this on Facebook Live, you can go ahead and drop your questions in there. And then I'll save all the questions at the end, and then I'll bring it up to Elaine and Meshell to answer your questions. And then a couple little announcements is if you guys are in the Bay Area in California, we're going to be doing dim sum over in Burlingame this Sunday at 10 o'clock. Yes, I mean 10 o'clock as in morning Asian time, meaning, yes, you need to get up early and get there. So right now we have almost 50 people already RSVP'd with another 50 maybes. So you got to let me know if you're coming. Otherwise, you're going to be just sitting around with random strangers, which actually technically you're going to do that anyways. So if you signed up, there's a form under our events. And you do have to pre-register because otherwise I don't know how many people I'm going to book for. But basically just to find us, you just go to the restaurant and look for a giant group of Asian people eating dim sum. Probably there's going to be 50 of us. We are all approximately similar ages, a bunch of millennials, and you'll probably mistaken us for like cousins or something. So just sit down, you'll be fine. And we will somehow find you. I don't know how, but we will find you. So without further ado, I'm really excited to introduce our Jacksonville team to you guys from Dogwood Realty. That's Elaine and Meshell, and we'll let them take it over from here. Thank you.
Hey everyone, we're coming to you live from Jacksonville. So we are so excited to tell you a little bit about our city. And we are so excited for those of you that are going to be able to join us. And so we can show you all around our amazing, huge city.
Huge. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for all your time tonight.
So first we'll start out by introducing ourselves. So my name is Elaine, and Meshell and I opened Dogwood in February of last year. We are both top producers and had worked together on a team previously and said, we can do this. We got this. So we're a woman-owned business. We're a part of SIDE, which I know several of you are very familiar with the SIDE platform. So I personally was in education before I got into real estate. I was born in Jacksonville and my dad was in the Navy, so we moved all around. So I know all about moving. I've learned a lot about investments from my parents. And now I've called Jacksonville home for the last 12 years now. So I love our city.
I'm Meshell. Hi, everybody. I was actually born in Jacksonville, just like Elaine, and I've been here my entire life. As a matter of fact, I even went to college in Jacksonville. So, I mean, why would you leave? We've got a great climate. It does get a little hot in the summer, but it's awesome here. Seen so many changes just to, oh my gosh, the highways and just massive amounts of land that has been developed into neighborhoods. Just crazy. We've got miles and miles of shorelines. We've got a great river through Jacksonville called the St. John's. Elaine and I are both top producing agents. We're in the top 5% in Northeast Florida. So we can definitely help you from A to Z. We'll hold your hand and walk you through the entire process. And I'm also a broker. So I'm not the compliance broker for Dogwood. I don't look good in orange and I don't want to, have to answer for anybody else, but I am a broker and I just got my license because I like to know a little bit more.
Yeah.
So.
I also have my loan officer license. I just got that for more education as well. So we both just love to learn and are excited to teach you about our city today. So jumping into, here's a little map of Jacksonville.
So this kind of shows you, we have over 150 unique neighborhoods, ranging from historic neighborhoods, arts, we have custom cuisine, etc. Jacksonville is actually the largest land mass city in the entire country. We have suburbs that expand out. It's huge.
We're huge.
However, you can usually get anywhere that you want within 30 minutes due to, the highways. So the highlighted neighborhoods here are the ones that we're going to be showing you at the end of the month. Northeast Florida consists of several counties, but the three that we're going to focus on are Clay, Duval, and St. John's. To the west of us is Baker County, and to the north of us is Nassau.
And if you look at the map, you can see from the different coloring, so that down on the bottom right, you see the red, that's St. John's. Just north of that in the orange is Duval, and to the left in the blue is Clay County.
Yep. Also, while you guys are here, we're going to break up some of our tour with a boat ride, and that's going to be in St. Augustine, which is known as the oldest city. So we're going to take a boat up and down the intercoastal, and our captain's going to talk to us about St. Augustine. So that's super exciting.
So when we talk about the A, B, C, and D of Jacksonville, because we're so big, it's hard to say exactly where these areas are located. So I put a link to this website where you can really see the rental price key, and it breaks down the desirability. So some basic things about our city is if you stay to the east of the river, moving closer to the ocean, it's more desirable. However, if you look at the desirability index and you kind of zoom into that north part, you'll notice it gets a little bit spotty. And you can literally go from street to street and have a different experience on every street. So I would say overall, Jacksonville is really best for long-term rentals, for flips. Midterm rentals are great. We have a ton of hospitals in the area, which I'll go over with you later. And also there's a lot of people waiting for houses to be built. So there's a lot of people who are just looking for that 4 or 5 month in between where they've sold their house and need a place to stay. Short-term rentals in our area, we haven't seen a huge fluctuation in them. The areas that you will see a lot of short-term rentals are more the beaches and St. Augustine. However, you're looking at much higher priced homes. And there's also a ton of rules and regulations that the city has impacted in those areas because they're trying to kind of squish them a little bit because they were getting a little out of control at one point. So definitely for Jacksonville, I would say your long-term rental, this is going to be a great place. We're going to go through all the growth that's coming to our area and explain why long-term rentals are going to be so great for you here. And really your price point is going to kind of lead us to the area you want to be in. And then from there, we'll be able to help you drill down what's a good part of town and how we can help find a good rental from there. But really where your price point is going to help us lead to the different areas. When I think about blue collar workers in our area, they're definitely living in Arlington, which is kind of that northeast. Yeah, the northeast area in between the river and the ocean. Orange Park, which is to the west of the river. And then kind of following up the river, that's the west side. A lot of those areas are more of where you're going to see those BC neighborhoods. But then again, you really just need to drill down and make sure you're not going into D neighborhoods because it's very easy to do in that area because we're just so huge. So we're really spread out. So that link is there for you. You can click on it. You can dive a little bit deeper, kind of really pull in, especially if you found some homes that you're interested in, you can really zero in there and see how it compares to the desirability and also where the rent is going to fall.
Okay, this slide is showing some housing data in our area. You can kind of tell up at the top, it says 26 regions are selected. You can see that our median sales price for all 26 regions is about $375,000. Now, if we break it down, you can see Clay County, the average price is $355,000, Duval's $317,000, and St. John's is $539,000. Now, St. John's is where a lot of the growth is. In Jacksonville, we kind of call all this area Jacksonville. The growth is further south. And one of the reasons that St. John's is so popular is because of the school system. And Elaine being an educator, I tell her thank you. So our days on market, DOM, it says medium days on market, it's 47. That's up quite a bit. This past summer, it was around 6 days on market. So because of the interest rates and everything, it's just days on market have definitely increased. But for an investor, this is definitely to your advantage because homes are sitting on the market longer due to the increased interest rates, and sellers are definitely more motivated to negotiate. Also, if you're looking for new construction, big builders are offering massive incentives sometimes up to $20,000. Of course, for an investment, it might be a little bit different because the maximum contribution towards closing costs can only be 2%, to where a typical buyer's closing cost around here is going to be about 3%, just depending on the sales price. Also in December of 2022, we saw around 4,300 homes on the market. Q4 is definitely slower. It's just kind of cyclical with the holidays and wrapping up the year. But 4,300 homes, we're still in an inventory shortage. A normal market is about 6 months supply. And in December, we had about 3 months supply.
So just some general kind of looking at houses in Jacksonville. So our home prices range from $35,000 to $9 million plus. It's
Huge
kind
range.
of, yeah. So maybe you're looking more for a flip, or you're just looking for some land, all the way up to mansions. What's cool about Jacksonville is we are still so incredibly affordable. I mean, that $9 million is going to get you a top of the line home on the water, which compared to other waterfront homes across the nation, to get 9 million, you may just be looking at like a shack on the water, maybe, if you can even get that.
Here you're living like a king for 9 million.
Yeah, so we're still very affordable, and we also have so much water. My parents live on a lake. There's the river, there's the intercoastal, there's creeks, there's the ocean. There's just so many opportunities for waterfront property here that and it's, again, still so affordable all across the board. So obviously last year was an anomaly. Everybody knows that, with the way everything went up so quickly. So we did have homes increase by 27% last year. However, on average, Jacksonville sees about 4.6% increase year over year. Our rent has increased by about 18%. So the average right now for just like a 3-bedroom home, you're averaging about $1,900 per month. If we look at average rent in Jacksonville as a whole, just from studios all the way to homes, large homes, we're looking at about $1,480 per month. So our state average is actually about $1,500. So we're a little bit under. But the average renter is spending about 26% of their income on rent, so about a quarter. And Jacksonville's home prices have appreciated 24% more on average than other comparable cash flow marketplaces. And that's since 1982. So that's comparing to places like Dallas and Kansas City, Memphis, Birmingham, Cleveland. So Jacksonville is definitely a place, again, if you hold on to it for a long time, you're going to see the returns.
All right. Why invest in Jacksonville? Well, number one reason, in my opinion, is the great climate. We have over 270 days of sunshine.
Case in point, I don't know where everybody is today, but it was what, 80?
Yeah.
82 today?
Beautiful today.
It was gorgeous.
What month is this? February?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have great days in Florida. Also, we have low home prices. Our prices are still really attainable and affordable. We also have high rental rates and high appreciation. We also don't have a state income tax, which I think we're one of just a handful that doesn't have a state income tax. And we also have a high quality of life. we're also more affordable than other larger cities, New York, even Orlando, Tampa. We're definitely
Fort Lauderdale, Tampa,
we
all of
definitely
it.
have more
We're,
affordable housing. Jacksonville has been ranked as it's in the top 5 fastest growing cities in the United States because of these reasons that I've just talked about. St. Johns County, like I was talking about earlier, is one of our areas that's grown over the past 10 years. It's increased by 44%. And of course it's due to the school system. So thanks again,
Elaine. Happy to help. They really do. They're the top. So St. John's is the top school district in all of Florida. And so a lot of what we've seen too is people coming from Duval County, because Duval is more urban and it's the school system's just not as good. It's still good. And it's still, when they look at the big 5 for Florida, the more urban counties, it's still ranked very well among them. However, St. John's is just the best. So a lot of people have left Duval to come to St. John's County just for the school system.
And also Clay County too, which is one that we're going to be talking about and showing you guys. Clay County has really good school systems.
Yeah, they're in the top 5 for the state as well. So good schools in our area, which brings a lot of people here too. So what I want to show you is the notable businesses. So it's actually really cool about Jacksonville. I know we've got a lot of Californians on here. We actually started out as the Hollywood for the United States. When they first started doing silent films, Jacksonville was the spot. There was film studios popping up everywhere. There's still one that is still in production downtown. The other ones obviously left once Hollywood kind of got going, but because of our climate and the sunny weather, they were originally pegging Jacksonville to be Hollywood. Wouldn't that have been something cool? But anyway, that's just a fun fact about Jacksonville. So lots of great businesses here. So I tried to kind of make a map for you just so that you know where some key areas are. If you're looking more for the midterm rental, we have so many hospitals here. We are really known for the hospitals that we have in our area. I was just telling Meshell, my uncle actually comes down from Hilton Head to get treatments done here. So, I mean, I can't really call hospitals a tourist attraction, but a lot of people do make this a destination for getting their healthcare taken care of. We also have, if something happens in other parts of the state, they're actually life flighted to Jacksonville because we're equipped to handle because of all the hospitals you can see on this map that we have. So UF Health, you'll see several of those. That's a teaching hospital. It's associated with the University of Florida, which is in Gainesville. Go Gators. I actually got one of my degrees from UF. So
that's our trauma hospital.
Yep, that's our trauma hospital. They send a lot of, they've got a lot of, again, you have a lot of rotation there because you've got students coming in and
military, just actually my daughter works at that hospital. It's great, it's a great teaching hospital, and she swears that that's the best one.
We've also got HCA, which is a private hospital in there. Downtown, you've got Baptist. We have got Wolfson's, which is our children's hospital in Nemours. We also have Mayo Clinic, which is huge. I'm sure you've all heard of that. Again, progressive medicine. We've got Baptist South,
the new one that just opened up.
Yep, St. Vincent's. And then down in St. Augustine, you've got Flagler Hospital. We've got 4 universities here. So we've got JU, which is Meshell's a grad. We have UNF, which is the state hospital, University of North Florida. In St. Augustine, you've got Flagler University, which is a private university. And then we also have Edward Waters University, which is a historically Black university. So also tons of education in our town on top of all the hospitals we have. And again, that makes for good, year rentals, lots of places, good areas to go ahead and, swipe up a property, because most likely there's a lot of students who are looking to rent out. In fact, I know one right now at JU that's currently looking. So if anybody wants to buy in that area. We also have military bases. We have the third largest military presence in the country. We have so many military bases here. One of the reasons I am here is because my dad was a pilot. He worked at Cecil Field when it was still a military base. It's now turned into a commercial airport. But the Naval Air Station is where I was born, which is right on the bank of the St. Johns River. We also, out towards the ocean, have Mayport, which is a base for ships. And if you follow all the way straight up into Georgia, right under where it says St. Mary's, that is our sub base. So a lot of money there because that's all the nuclear subs are all based out of there. And that's a very cool spot to visit if you have the opportunity. So our air base, and then, so we've got airships and the subs, and then we have also, we're a huge financial institution. So right in the heart of downtown, we've got Fidelity is located there, and Black Knight, Wells Fargo. There's a whole area that's called Brooklyn where all of these buildings have kind of popped up. They've really modernized it. They're just trying to make it more of like a hip, cool, I definitely say it has a little hipster vibe to it.
Oh, for sure.
Brooklyn. Trying to hit all the financial people that are moving in here. We also have Amazon. So Amazon came to us a couple of years ago. They've got a fulfillment center, which is really close to Cecil Commercial Airport, because that's where they're bringing their planes in and out of. And then they also have a warehouse on the north side. It's in between the Jacksonville Airport and the Cecil Commercial Airport. We also have ports, so it's a huge shipping industry. There are 4 deep water marine terminals, and they leave right into the Atlantic. And there's a whole terminal and port area set up there. There's also some cruise ships that run out of here. So the ports are another huge presence for us and also bring in a lot of jobs and business into our area. In addition, we also have CSX. So their big rail yard is located also kind of in the downtown. If you're looking at the circle, it's kind of that top left quadrant. That's where the CSX, they actually have a building downtown where they headquarter. For the south, I think it's for the southeast is where their headquarters are for that building. But then their actual rail yards are in that
And also
area.
Florida East Coast Railroad is here too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we have 3 major interstates. We've got I-10. So I-10 cuts straight across. If you are in Texas or familiar with Texas, it comes straight across and you just drive a straight line. If you've ever driven it, it is a very boring. It's east to west.
You see pine trees, and it's such a boring ride.
But you dead end into Jacksonville. So I-10 ends or starts depending, which direction you're going in Jacksonville. We also have 95. I-95 runs north and south. So you can take 95 all the way down to Fort Lauderdale, the Keys. Or you can go north and go all the way up into New England. And then we also have 295, which if you're looking at the map is kind of that circle all around our city, makes one big loop. And they're currently working, which we're going to talk a little bit about on more of like an outer loop for that 295, just because, again, our city is so huge. If you don't live right on 295, you have quite the drive to get to the highway. So they're currently working on a First Coast Expressway, which is essentially going to start building an outer loop to our city, which again, when we talk about growth, investing, these are all things that are going to help increase your property values in the long term. We also have Amtrak that runs through our city as well. So trains are an option. They also just put in a proposal to make a commuter line that's going to run from St. Augustine to our downtown and have 3 stops along the way. Again, another thing for an investor, if you can be close to those train stops, we can point them out to you where they're going to be, and it will be great opportunities for investing. And then we have so many other businesses based here. I'm just going to name a whole bunch because maybe some of you have heard of them. So we've got Bubba Burgers, Fanatics. If you follow any sports teams, most of the time you're buying your paraphernalia from Fanatics. They're actually a Jacksonville-based company. Firehouse Subs, Florida Blue Insurance, the Florida Times-Union, which is our newspaper for all of Florida, is based here. Gate Petroleum, which is a huge gas company. Landstar, Southeastern Grocers, which runs Winn-Dixie, is based here in Jacksonville. Steinmart, Stellar, which is a big construction company. Swisher, Tobacco, and also the Wounded Warrior Project is actually based here in Jacksonville too. We also have Maxwell House, which is a coffee roaster downtown. If you hit it at the right time, you will smell that delicious coffee roasting. It smells so good. My favorite part of driving through downtown. We also have Northrop Grumman, a huge military contractor. Again, they bring us a lot of business too. They're based in St. Johns County. Again, we talked about Amazon, Amtrak. Anheuser-Busch has a plant here where they're bottling beer. So, you know, no short supply when you come to visit. We also have a lot of banks. Citibank and Deutsche Bank are two really big ones here. And then Publix, which is our local grocery store, which was started in Florida, in Lakeland. My husband works for them. So we will be serving you some pub subs when you are here. So make sure that you are on that boat because you will get some pub subs, which are a novelty.
The best. They are the best. Okay, so this is just some housing reminders for Jacksonville. So when we have an HOA that's involved, and a lot of our communities do have HOAs, you want to be real careful with rentals. You need to definitely read the rules and regulations because a lot of HOAs require that you have at least a 1-year lease in place. Also, just for short-term rentals, for example, it varies. So we definitely want to check out the short-term rentals by county, and also by county, it varies from zone to zone. So for instance, like in St. Augustine, that's St. Johns County. Northwest St. Johns County is going to be different than the beach, different than downtown for their short-term rentals. So you definitely want to check out, you know, the regulations on that. Also, we have what's called CDD fees here in Northeast Florida. A CDD fee, you might not be familiar with, but it stands for the Community District Development Fee. And basically what it is when a developer comes in and develops an area, they put in all the infrastructure, the sewage, the lights, the streets, everything.
The schools, the firefighters,
the schools,
police,
right, everything. And it's basically like a 30-year bond. And as a homeowner, it's part of your taxes. So CDD fees can range from $1,000 to $3,000-$4,000, just depending on what area. And again, it's part of the tax bill. So it would be included pretty much in the mortgage. Also, one thing to remember is if you're purchasing a property that was homesteaded, you'll get the tax advantage. Like, let's say you buy in the middle of the year, you're going to get that tax advantage for the rest of the year. But that following year, your taxes will probably increase because it's not going to be homesteaded. We also have what's called portability, which just lets you port your tax savings from property to property.
And homesteaded is for people who live in Florida for over 6 months. You can homestead your property. Florida basically rewards you for actually living in your home. So homesteading just gives you that tax break. And again, that lasts for the year.
For
so
your primary residence.
Yeah. So when you're purchasing an investment, if you're not planning to make it a primary home, that's just something you want to notate to double check the taxes. And that's something we'll talk through with you too. But it could increase your taxes for the following year. So it's just something to keep in mind.
Also, homeowners insurance. That's a big hot button here in Florida because of all of our storms. A lot of insurance companies have pulled out of Florida. Now, Jacksonville doesn't get the storms like South Florida does. We are kind of we have a coastal, a Gulf Stream that kind of keeps the storms off of us unless it comes in, through the Gulf. But we just don't get the storms like South Florida, which is really nice. So a lot of our homes here are wood structured. Like we don't have to have concrete. It's not part of our building code up here, but you definitely want to shop for home insurance. And depending on how old the roof is, how old the HVAC is, etc., your rates could be a little bit higher just depending on the age of that. And then I talked about hurricanes.
So we're going to look at a couple of case studies of some homes. So what we did is we went through the MLS and we found homes that had sold and also rented within a month or two after they sold. So that way we could get you some really good comps on what actually happened, not just talking kind of high level about what this could rent for or what it might rent for. Like this is legitimately what it sold for and legitimately what it rented for. So we have 5 case studies. So I'm not going to take too much time because you can take the slide deck and look through it at your own pace. But I do want to point out that we did pick some single family homes. We picked a townhome. We picked some with HOAs, some without HOAs. We tried to take a variety in the age of the home. And then we also made sure to get kind of around Duval. Duval is our largest county. So we've got several from Duval County. And then we also picked one from Clay County and one from St. Johns County. So South Side is, again, I was talking about how east of the river is really the desirable area. South Side is one of those areas where people really want to live. If you're coming on the trip, it's pretty much where your hotel is going to be. It's an area that's very central. It's easy to get to places. So this 3-bed, 2-bath, single family home sold for $309,000. They were able to get $1,700 for rent. And I know our goal is to get to that 1%. So they were at about a 0.71% for their gross monthly rental income. So again, here's an example where their property taxes for 2022, they were homesteaded. So their property taxes were $2,143. This upcoming year, when they get their tax bill in October, it is most likely going to go up to probably around $3,000, maybe a little bit more. So again, that's one of the things we were talking about. Pay attention to that homestead. Because you could be planning for that 2,000, and when that tax bill comes the following year, you're gonna be like, wait, what happened? So this investor got a great deal for the last half of the year from August until December. They got a reduced tax rate. However, that January 1st, that's the date that they look at. It's now owned by an investor. It's no longer homesteaded. Those taxes will go up. So our next example is so this is more the west side. So when we talked about kind of where the blue collar families are working, this is what we call the Hyde Grove area. This was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It sold for $175,000, and this one got that exact 1% for their gross monthly rental income. So you can see from the inside that it was very updated. They did purchase this one updated. They did not do the flips themselves. So it sold at $175,000, completely updated. And then this one doesn't have a garage. So, there's just some other things to think about for the rentals. It was built in 1961, so it's a little bit of an older home. But again, they did already have it flipped. So this was a great, and no HOA. So this one, this could potentially be looked at also for more of your midterm rental or even potentially short-term, although I don't know this area that would be the best for short-term, but our whole area can be whatever you want it to be, really. Our next case study is North Jacksonville. So this is up by the airport. This one, we selected a townhome. It was built in 2005, so it's a little bit newer. It sold in October for $240,000. And then it was able to be rented at $1,260. So it gave that 0.73 for the gross monthly income. And this one again is also homesteaded. That one previously that we were looking at was not homesteaded. So it's closer to what it's going to be, but still taxes will go up next year because it sold at $175. So that will raise it up a little bit. This one, you can count on it almost doubling for the next tax year. So our next case study. So now we're into Clay County. So we're going to talk in a few minutes about all the growth coming to Clay County. Green Cove Springs, I think, is the next hot area. So for me, this is actually where my husband and I are looking for our next investment is in Green Cove Springs. We actually just put an offer in 2 days ago, so fingers crossed for us. But Green Cove is really up and coming with all the growth that's coming. It's going to probably be at least 10 to 15 years before you see a huge return. And so as you can see, your gross monthly rental income is not fantastic. But for me, this one's more about the long-term hold. And then our last one is St. Johns County. So Silverleaf is a master plan community that is growing. And again, St. Johns County is the schools. You've got so many families coming to look and rent and want to move here. So again, you're not getting that much on your gross monthly rental income. However, your long-term hold on this and the quality of the tenants you're going to get are going to be fantastic. And with all the growth that's coming to this area, Silverleaf has barely even started to grow, and it's going to be a master plan community. And Meshell's going to talk about the growth actually coming to that area.
So that's going to be great for a long-term investment.
Yeah.
So this shows St. Johns County. I'm sorry, I'm kind of pointing. This kind of shows you how the city is going to be connected. We were talking about like 295. We also call it 9B, 295, and it's looping in the subdivisions, the areas to the south and to the west, and just really making it easy to get around. Like I said, you can usually get anywhere in about 30 minutes around here. Let's see, we have the top school districts in the state. We have lots of new construction
And lots of new schools that are being built too. I think there's 3 or 4 more on the docket for this year in St. John's.
And that's due to a lot of master planned communities. Also in St. Johns County, we have what's called Durban Pavilion, and it's being built out in phases. Phase 1 is already complete, and it's stores like Walmart, there's a Ross, there's a Home Depot, there's Ulta, there's a movie theater, there's tons of restaurants. Phase 2 and 3 are coming. Those are in the process right now. And that's going to include like a YMCA and more hospitals, an amphitheater. We're also going to have bike and walking trails, also some high-end shopping, which is super exciting. Yeah, so Northwest St. Johns County is already built out. That's kind of where our office is. So you'll see more growth to the south, and that's where a lot of the new planned master communities are coming. So definitely great for long-term investment opportunities.
Yeah, because soon that area will be built out too, and there'll be nowhere else to go. And with that new highway coming in, which is what I'm going to talk about next. So Clay County is really the big piece of this new highway that's coming through. So especially if you're looking at commercial investing, there's going to be 7 interchanges. So depending what kind of commercial investing you're looking for, there's a lot of opportunity here with these interchanges that will be coming in and the retail that will be coming off of them. There are several master plan communities that are already kind of getting started in preparation for this all opening. This whole project is scheduled to be complete by 2030. Portions of the road are already built. And what my favorite and most exciting, I think, is, again, for Green Cove Springs, which is what I was telling you guys about, and this Lake Asbury and Penny Farms area that you can kind of see right above that white box on the left. Those home values right now are so affordable.
Super.
And you can see right where Penny Farms is. I mean, there's an interchange right there. I mean that those, once that gets built out, again, your long-term investment is just, in my opinion, going to go crazy off the charts. There's currently a bridge that connects Clay County right where that Green Cove Springs is on the map. And it's a 2-lane bridge that connects the 2 counties. And right now, there's just no way, if you live in that area, to get across efficiently across the river. There's one bridge you can go to, and if there's an accident, like, forget about it, you're hours in traffic. So what they're doing is they're going to blow up that bridge and create a new one. It's going to have a pedestrian walking path. They're going to keep the back ends of each of the bridge and make a little fishing pier. They're creating parks around it. There's just so many cool things that are coming. And we're going to show and expand on this a lot more for those of you who are coming to visit us. And I also put some other statistics in here just so you can kind of see, but even Clay County, again, they're one of the top school districts in the state, and they have 5 new schools that they're being planned for by 2028. So the amount of growth that's coming to that area too, just by saying there's 5 new schools coming. And when I say 5 new schools, I mean K through 8 and high school. So we're talking thousands of kids in each of these schools. So you can imagine how many families are flocking to this area just by saying that. And then in Duval County, we also have a ton of growth coming, especially our downtown. I've always said our downtown is just has so much potential. It's like the little engine that could. It's trying. It tries so hard. I'm like, what other city has a river running through it that is not just prospering and blowing up? And there is so much more growth to be had in our downtown. So the vision for the city is to make it a center for arts, history, business, innovation. The number of residents in our city has doubled in nearly the past 5 years, and it's actually set to double again. So the projected growth means that downtown 7,500 residents is going to grow to more than 16,000 people who will call downtown home. So there's almost 4,500 multifamily residential units downtown, and we're currently expecting that number to jump to around 10,000. So if you are somebody who's in commercial real estate, again, downtown right now is potentially a gold mine for you. There's more than 54,000 people working downtown. There's currently $1 billion in active projects that are under construction currently at the moment. And there's 3 times that are in project proposals that are about to be approved and get rolling. So nearly $5 billion in development projects are in the pipeline across downtown Jacksonville. So in this slide, I've kind of listed some of them for you. So that top right corner picture is, it's so funny. When you come, people have some funny things to say about what that sculpture says. It's supposed to say Jax. A lot of people say lax. Lurk. So there's some fun discussion around what's coming. Yes. So that one Riverside, Riverfront Plaza, and Jack's Riverview Plaza are all kind of summed up in that one picture in the top right. They're all kind of going to be together. And then I listed there's the Hardwick, that's the picture with the big hotel that looks a little mid-century modern. You've got River's Edge, which is the picture with all of the docks, and then the Four Seasons Hotel, which is going to be Jacksonville's first 5-star hotel, and it is being funded by our Jags owner, Shad Khan. So that one is going to be very exciting, and some really high-end condominium units too. So anyways, you can read through all that and reach out to us if you have questions. Also, our airport is getting a huge refresh, $300 million concourse at our international airport, which is set to be completed by 2025. And my favorite thing that our city is doing, I am so excited about this, is they're making the greenways. They're making an Emerald Trail. So this is going to be a 30-mile pedestrian trail that connects 14 historic neighborhoods in downtown Jacksonville. And you'll be able to ride your bike, walk, just enjoy the outdoors and the nature and everything that Jacksonville has to offer. And they've already kind of started that. It's already well on its way, and there's currently like mural tours available along the way for it. Okay, and then the last thing we have for you.
So as you can see, Jacksonville is really blowing up. So I don't even know what else to say to say this is a great place to invest. Socially in Jacksonville, we have tons of sports teams. Everybody knows we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know, go Jags. They had a really good season this year. Finally. That's another little engine that could.
Yeah.
So we're super proud of our Jags this year. The Jaguars bring in revenue of like $482 million to the city. It's incredible. We also have our baseball team, formerly known as the Jacksonville Suns. It's now the Jumbo Shrimp.
It's a minor league team.
It's a minor league team. It got a lot of flack for the jumbo shrimp name, but it's growing on everybody. We love it. We also have a professional soccer team, Armada. We have the Jacksonville Icemen for hockey. If you've never seen a hockey game in person,
So fun.
you have to do it. It is so much fun. We also have the Sharks. That's an arena football team. And then for the minor league basketball, we have the Giants. One of my favorite is the PGA Tour. That's headquartered in Ponte Vedra, which is also St. Johns County. And a lot of professional golfers live in the area. The tour has its major golf event, I guess, in March.
And if you have a short-term rental, that is a time
that
when
is the time
they get tip-top
because
dollar.
we get a ton of people
Yeah.
here for that golf event. We also have outdoors. We've got the St. Johns River that flows north. We always say it's because Georgia sucks, but it does flow north, and that is right through the city. So there's tons of activities, kayaking, boating, just all kinds of fun stuff to do on the river. Of course, we've got the Atlantic Ocean to our east. We have tons of lakes and springs and intercoastal. We also have over 70 public golf courses. And then that doesn't even count the private golf courses. Tons of shopping. We have the outlet malls in St. Augustine. We've got the town center with some high-end shopping. Durban Pavilion that I told you about, phase 1, 2, and 3. That's here and coming. So that's a great area for shopping. We also have a lot of historic districts like St. Augustine. That's the nation's oldest city. We've got Riverside and Avondale. That is the Historic Society. And we also have Springfield, which is downtown, and it's being revived. We've got tons of theaters, the Florida Times Union, the Florida Theater, which is said to be haunted. So that's kind of cool. We have the Alhambra, we have Daly's Place, and also the St. Augustine Amphitheater. Like that is one of the top amphitheaters in the country. And we've got it right here in St. Augustine. Flying into Jacksonville, you come into JAX. It is an international airport. And Elaine was talking about all the renovations that, they're doing to the airport. We're only a 45-minute flight from Orlando, about 45 minutes to Atlanta, 2 hours to New York, and about 9 hours to London. So, also tons of breweries and distilleries. So my favorite is Wicked Barley. My husband and I kayak, so we'll kayak right there and then beach at Wicked Barley and have lunch and have a beer, and it's great. So lots of fun things to do.
So we hope you guys enjoyed learning about Jacksonville. So sorry, I know we ran over time a little bit, but you can visit our website. And also, if you're looking for particular areas, you can look at the communities and you can actually zero in and see what's the age range, what's the what kind of degrees do people have, what's the price point in those neighborhoods. So
lots of good demographics.
Lots of good demographics. So thank you so much. And I know we've got some questions.
All righty. So starting with the questions, I actually had a lot myself. So going back to about home insurance and kind of the natural disasters. So I saw on the map that Jacksonville is close to a lot of water. Is there concern about flooding?
There can be, yes, absolutely. I mean, Florida, just in general, yeah, we're surrounded by water. If a hurricane comes up the river, yes, we definitely get that surge. So yes, but not all of Jacksonville is in a flood zone.
Because we also have all of the intercoastal waterways and all the creeks that run off. They help kind of take some of the flooding
The water out.
And we really haven't had any flooding outside of if a hurricane is coming through. Like I said, my parents live on a lake. Their house is never flooded, but their next door neighbors did. So it just depends. That's what home insurance is for, and they'll help you out if you do have it. Honestly, like if you only really need to be concerned if you're like on the water. Cause like when I think about my parents, their street flooded, but the people who were on the other side weren't even close to the water. So,
and flood insurance is relatively inexpensive.
Yeah,
I have it on my rental properties. It's not required, but it's about $500 a year.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's really cheap. Okay. And then other than like the flooding, do we have to be concerned like lots of trees around that falls or something like that? Cause I know Atlanta, that's like a huge thing.
Yes, yes. So definitely oak trees. I guess they don't get very grounded, so a lot of times they'll just go boop like
Once
that.
it gets saturated,
Yeah.
too saturated.
Yeah.
But it's mostly the older ones. And as long as you're kind of keeping up with it's around your rental property that, those are things that we'll look at, and an inspector will point out as well if there's limbs or trees
towards
leaning.
the house, right? You want to definitely keep those away.
Yeah.
And then earlier you mentioned about like the home insurance companies moving out and like rates are increasing and the requirements are increasing. What kind of requirements are they increasing? Like, is it like getting a new roof or like something?
That's a great question.
That's a huge one.
The roof is a huge hot topic right
Yeah.
now. Insurance companies a lot of times are dropping people because they're trying to reduce their exposure in Florida. So anybody that's got a roof over maybe 9-10 years old, I have 2 rental properties and I've been dropped 3 times. My roof is 9 years old.
That's it.
Yeah.
The problem is what happened, what caused all of this for Florida is that these roofers were going around and knocking on the door and saying, hey, we just recorded a hailstorm in your area. Do you need a free roof? And so they would go on and take pictures of a couple of the shingles that were destroyed and they would get it completely covered by the insurance company. Well, they hit
for a
so many
deductible, you could get a brand new roof.
And so many people were doing this and it just really hurt the insurance companies. But they had no way to stop it because the policies all said if there was hail damage and they couldn't be repaired, you get a new roof. So now they've just started dropping people because they're rewriting the policies and just changing things up. But that's all things Meshell and I help you negotiate. We look through those and, like right now I've got a guy purchasing a rental unit and it has aluminum wiring and the insurance company's not going to take it, but that's easy fix. You just get the aluminum protectors in and, we're negotiating out those repairs. So.
Got it. And then for the insurance prices, what's kind of like the average price for say like, a 3-2?
For homeowners insurance?
Yeah.
It just depends. It depends on the age of the roof. It depends on the
Age of the
HVAC, the age of the house, the area. It just depends.
But I'd say it's probably in like the 1,500.
Yeah. Let's just say that. I mean, it could be more or less.
Yeah.
Texas investors, you guys are fine with that. They're about the same. So don't worry, you guys.
They get hit with all the hurricanes too.
Yep.
And then going back about the roof thing and for negotiation. So, because 9 years for a roof, that's really, really like young, for a roof. So when you guys are negotiating or helping the buyers with the purchase, what's kind of like your thinking process with that? Like, can we get concessions or repairs or something?
Yes. So whenever I'm in a listing appointment, that's one of the very first questions I ask. How old is your roof? And if they tell me it's over 10 years old, I say, prepare yourself because they possibly can't get homeowners insurance. You might have to replace it. So that's just a conversation that hopefully most listing agents are having with their sellers so that when it does come up by a buyer saying, hey, I can't get good insurance rates, can you replace the roof? Hopefully it's not a shock to them.
And a lot of times when we're taking people around and looking at investment properties, those are some of the first questions we're going to ask before we even, because we already know, those things are going to come up with the home insurance company. If it's an older home, we're going to ask, has it been rewired? Has it been repiped? Yeah, all of those things. And then once we have the inspection and we can send that off to a home insurance company, we can use the home insurance agent to also help guide us into what else we need to ask for. And if it's an insurance needed repair, it should be no problem to get it from the seller because they're going to have the problem with any buyer. So,
and we'll talk about this too whenever you guys are here, but we have vendors, like we've got, a home inspector that you can use. We've got insurance guys that are fabulous. We've got lenders, all kinds of, we've got anything that you need.
And then to replace a roof, how much is that about?
It depends on the size of the house.
Yeah. So like a 1,200 square foot house. I had one replaced recently and it was 10,000.
10,000.
I just replaced my roof on my current house and it was 30. It just depends on the size of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can negotiate and the seller can have it paid for at closing. So if the roofer will do it like the week of closing and then get paid at closing, it makes it kind of a non-issue.
But if they do like that, where they're covering like the credit of it, it's the repairs aren't done yet. Will they still qualify for insurance? And like the sale can still go through?
Yeah, you got to get creative.
Yeah, we have ways around it. Yeah. That's part of our negotiation, what we'll help with. If seller's giving us a hard time, we have little tips and tricks we can do to help you get it going where, and so like one of the things is the insurance, if you say you're having it done the day after closing, well, they're going to send an inspector out anyway. And if we have the paid invoice, there's things we can do that we know that we've worked with that we can make
Usually
happen.
the insurance guy will come out within about 30 days of you closing. So as long as you have your new roof on, you're usually good to go.
Yeah.
Got it. And then so another question is about like, I guess with related to these repairs and contingencies. So a lot of us in California and then also investors over in Austin side, we're so used to, or even Atlanta is basically you have no contingencies in your contract in order to win your bids. And like, oh crap, something falls through, you're stuck still buying it. Is that what situation is that like for Jacksonville? Is it easy to get out of contracts if something goes wrong, or like, hey, I have buyer's remorse, I need to get out?
It's actually too easy.
It's way too easy.
It is way too easy. In Northeast Florida, we use a special contract. It's called a NEFAR contract, and the due diligence period is 10 days. So for any reason that you want to back out, you can back out and get your binder money within those 10 days.
And also you have your financing contingency. So if you are planning to get a mortgage, we typically write in a 30-day financing contingency. And if something falls through with your loan or whatever, you can also walk away with no problem. There's been a couple times we've had to just tweak some things because some things happened, and we've had some customers that needed to get out, and we were able to lean on that financing contingency too to help them get out. So.
And then is it customary to use something like an options fee or an options period so that they back out just because they want to, not because like they failed a loan or the inspection?
That's
Like
kind of the inspection period.
That's the 10-day due
Yeah.
diligence inspection period that you could back out for any reason.
Yeah. It's an inspection period, but pretty much you have 10 days to think about it and decide if you want it or not.
Well, during those 10 days, that's when you need to start shopping for homeowners insurance. That's when you need to start doing your due diligence, like research the zip code, make sure that you're okay.
Get your
with-
rental quote, get
Right.
what are you going to walk away with? What are your numbers? And if those things aren't working out, that also attributes to your inspection due diligence period and being able to walk away.
And do you feel that the 10 days is enough to get like the insurance agent to like, prove okay, good. All right. And then other questions regarding that I have is about the property taxes. What are the ranges like, and how often are property tax reassessed?
So you get your bill at the end of every year. So every year they reassess it.
Well, usually whenever a property is sold, it goes off the sold price for your taxes,
Mhm.
and there's millage rates on our county website. So I mean, you can calculate, what your property taxes should be, or get a good idea. But yeah, I mean,
They're typically
it's-
around like 1% of your purchase price. That's usually what I plug in for our
Underwriting.
number.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which is why sometimes that number for what your tax bill was the year before is like, that's not even going to be close.
especially new construction. We've come across this a lot where the very first year, they're paying taxes on unimproved land. And then the next year, now you're paying taxes on a $400,000-$500,000 house.
Mhm.
And sometimes your
loan officer didn't
surprised.
your loan officer didn't calculate it, and they did it
Yeah.
off of the year before. So maybe you were looking at $1,000 a year in taxes, and now you're paying $4,000 or $5,000 a year in taxes.
that makes
and
your payment.
a lot different.
Yeah.
And then again, you also have to take into account that CDD fee if you are in a new construction. So not every new construction neighborhood has that CDD fee, but if it does, then you need to take your taxes and then add that fee onto it as well.
So other than the CDD, do you have something like for education, like district ones or school district taxes?
Yes, so that's in your ad valorem taxes, and then like your CDD and your trash pickup, recycle, that's in your non-ad valorem taxes. So you just pay that fee. You don't get the discount on that.
And then when we
Your
go
home-
to the tax assessor
your
website, do you
homesteaded
see
use.
this? Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you're homesteaded, then you can get a discount on your taxes. So we're talking about like the schools and everything. That's what that homestead is. That's what they reward you for actually occupying the home.
And then going back onto the taxes with like the CDD and all of those, like if I go to the tax assessor website, will it also show me the CDD taxes or just straight property taxes?
If you pull the tax bill, it'll break it down. It'll show you if there's a CDD on it.
And then what's the increases like for annual property taxes? Like, or like maybe the last couple of years that you guys have seen for yourselves?
Well, if you're homesteaded, it cannot increase more than 3% a year. So that's one reason that you want a homestead.
But you'd have to live in it. So
Yeah,
But
but
none
you
of us
have
are gonna live in it.
Right, right. So if it's not homesteaded, it could just.
it
increase
varies.
by-
Yeah, it depends on what's voted
Right.
by your local representatives. So I haven't seen huge increases in ours. I will say, so my husband and I bought a townhome in St. Johns County in the end of 2019. And we bought it for 200,000 and our taxes were right around just over 2,000 a year. And now it's worth like 350,000. And our taxes are still, I think we're at like 2,500. So they've gone up since we purchased it, but not to like, if I bought it today at the 350, I'd be up in the 3,000s for my taxes. And we're not there. So because there are still caps on how much it can increase, because they don't want to, I mean, you're obviously still paying the taxes, so they do protect you in that way, but they do still increase.
I'd say they're still relatively affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, our taxes are low.
Yeah.
You're right. The 1% is definitely some of the lowest that I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a good reminder for all of our listeners and who are watching this, is that as you guys are underwriting your property taxes, don't just look at the taxes of whatever the last person paid, because they could have had the homestead, which is capped at 3%. You really should be estimating based on that, I guess, that 1% of your approximately new purchase price, which can significantly change your numbers. So people remember that.
Yes. And that's across Florida too. So that's not just, if you're buying anywhere in Florida, keep that in mind.
That's right. And then next question from Millie is about the HOA fees. How common are HOA fees in Jacksonville? Like, are you guys mostly like the master planning, like hometowns or condos, or how does that work out?
We're heavy on the HOAs here.
Yes, yes.
Unless you're in the older homes. The older homes don't have it, which is going to be kind of more of your central core of downtown area. But everything that's built out suburban and that's pretty much coming is almost always in an HOA.
However, in a lot of the master plan communities, sometimes your HOA is not very high,
yeah,
but your CDDs are, because the pool, the maintenance, all of that, all the amenities are part of the CDD fee, to where your HOA might be smaller.
Now, where you're going to not see a lot of HOAs is kind of more on the west side of the river, where we were talking about a lot of the blue collar workers, the west side, Orange Park. Yeah, the older homes are typically not an HOA, but if you're looking for a newer home, you're going to most likely be in an HOA.
And then so with the HOA, like the communities, are they also like single family homes, or like they're just kind of next to each other all the time? Oh, they are single family homes with kind of
mostly single family. Yeah, we mostly have single family and townhomes. It's not very common to find multifamily homes in our area. Downtown, there's a lot of duplexes, I'd say, but most of those need to be flipped or worked on. So if that's something that's in your wheelhouse, there are some great opportunities downtown for that kind of multi-unit work.
Not really in the suburbs though.
Yeah, the suburbs are mostly single family.
Perfect. You
Or
just answered my
townhomes.
next question on if 2 to 4 units are common or not.
Yeah, not super common here for the 2 to 4. Yeah.
And then you also you were mentioning like the HOAs with more in the new builds. Is there like a lot of new builds? Like what kind of the ratio looking like, or are you guys going to be worried about like if there's a lot of oversupply, or are you guys still under supply at the moment for housing?
We're still undersupplied right now. I think one of the slides showed in December, we had 4,600 homes on the market. That's only 3 months supply. A normal healthy market is 6 months. And a lot of the millennials are first-time home buyers, and they're entering the market, and we just don't have enough enough supply.
And most of them want turnkey homes, so that's really making new homes soar. There are a lot of opportunities in Jacksonville for flips because there are a lot of homes that were built in the 40s, 50s, 60s that just haven't really been touched. Like that whole Arlington area, which was on the northeast side of, still on the east side of the river. That area right now is starting to see a huge amount of flips because they're just older homes, but it's an area people want to be in. And with that downtown growing, it's a desirable
It's close to
place
the
to
beach,
be.
it's close to downtown.
Yeah,
The Dames Point Bridge links you, it's close to the ports.
yeah. But
Can we actually go
unfortunately,
back to the map, actually, if you can show us that, so I can
Mhm.
visualize it probably a little easier. Yep, there we go.
so that Arlington area, which is, I don't know, can you see my mouse or
Yep.
no?
Yep, we can. Mhm.
Yeah, this area up here. So pretty much all of St. John's is going to be HOA communities. All of this area down here is almost all HOA. Most of this area here and out into, I didn't label Middleburg. That's most HOAs.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, Middleburg here. And then kind of coming up the river here, again, this is more of your BC, watch out for D. Spotted in, those are going to be older homes and pretty much no HOAs, but most likely need work or remodeling. If you can find somebody who has flipped it, again, there's a lot of potential there, but sometimes it's like a needle in a haystack trying to find it because people are sweeping them up. So
And where was the bridge that you showed us, the 2-lane bridge?
that's this one down here.
That's called the Shant Bridge, and that is the one that's going to be 4-lane.
So if you follow the river up, you'll see this is one access point across, right? And it's a 2-lane bridge. If you keep following up, this is the Buckman Bridge, which connects on 295. So it's a bigger bridge. This is the main way that people are getting over to this side of the river and to downtown. Oops. And so this is a main point, and then up here at downtown is the other way to cross it. So if you live in Fleming Island, you either have to drive all the way down to Green Cove, cut over, take all the back roads, go to 95 and come up, or you take 17, which is going to take you a really long time, and then you hit the highway, and then if there's an accident, you're in traffic for hours to get across. So that's why they're kind of building this outer loop along here, which is going to connect down and then widen that bridge to give another access point, and then it's going to connect into 95.
And then you mentioned with the new builds, like where are they on the map?
So the ones that are coming into Green Cove are in this area over here. St. John's, so this whole area has just been completely being redeveloped. So that's what Meshell was talking about, is pretty much already built out. And so now all these other master plan communities are coming in down here because they've run out of room. And so this whole area is going to be great again for long term, because with that entrance coming onto 95 and all of these new communities popping up, you're going to have access to a lot more soon. There's also some new builds coming in on the north side up here, kind of near the airport. There's a lot of growth coming up there as well. Just not as much, maybe like planned with like urban development. They're more just kind of taking up this land because it's been there, and but not so much of like the growth with the highway and everything coming.
Right. And then is Green Grove near the highways?
Green Cove,
Green
yes.
Cove.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the city is right here. So in the last like 10 years, I've just seen Green Cove already turn. It was a very like podunk town before. It was like driving through, you're like, where are we? You're like old Florida. But it has really started to change. They've got a whole new city hall that they built. I was just in today picking up some paraphernalia for our for you guys when you visit, and they have a new administrative building. There's all kinds of new shops and restaurants that are coming in. And again, just in preparation for all of that is coming to Clay County in the next 10 years.
And were any of the universities or hospitals that you mentioned were near there or easily accessible there?
No, not.
There is
Well,
a hospital
hospitals, yes.
there's a hospital that's coming in soon. I can go back to what's that. So there's the Orange Park hospital. They actually just started breaking ground on a hospital that's going to be built right in the downtown area here. In
There's
Green Cove,
smaller
it's
hospitals
Ascension.
all over Middleburg, Orange Park. Yeah, there's a lot of healthcare.
Yeah. But the big hospital is going to be built in Green Cove. And then I think HCA bought another plot of land. I forget exactly where it is, but I could find that information for you if you want it.
And then say if you had to choose maybe your top 3 or your top 5 neighborhoods for long-term investments, which ones would they be?
So for me, Green Cove is number 1.
I say St. Johns County.
And St. Johns County. Yeah.
For sure.
You're gonna have a higher price point. You may not make as much on your rental return, but like I told you, my husband and I bought a townhome there for $200,000 2 years ago, and it's already more than doubled in value, or almost doubled in value.
But what was the percentage? 44% increase over the last 10 years to St. John's.
Yeah. So Green Cove, I'd say St. John's. Mandarin is another great area. Mandarin is kind of in this area here. They're a little bit older homes, not as many HOAs or very, very low HOAs if they have them. Still great schools.
I live in Mandarin. My HOA is $500 a year. So it's very cheap.
But in terms of like your long-term growth there, you may not see it at least hold and maybe go up slightly. But the areas with the most growth coming, I would say Green Cove, St. John's, and then probably up here by the airport. It's still an area that needs to grow up a little bit, but it has the potential. And the downtown area too.
You know, and
I think that'd
also
probably be my
North
4.
Beach, Mayport area.
Mhm.
That's being all totally revamped. You know, it's got the base, it's got Mayport right there. The beach is kind of eclectic. You have older houses from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and then you'll have a brand new build right next door to it because people are purchasing it, tearing it down, building new. So it's very eclectic at the beach, at Jack's Beach.
And I think with all the growth that's coming to our downtown as well, that I think anything you buy down there is going to be for long term a great investment as well, because our Jags owner is so invested in our city and is doing so much and lobbying for so much and pouring so much money into making it a better downtown. So, so I would say, so to sum that up, Green Cove, St. John's, downtown, Mayport, and north by the airport.
And then with the downtown, it looks like it's kind of split into 2. Like, there's like a east side and a west side. Do you have a preference of like which side's the nicer side?
Not the west.
So this Riverside and Avondale area are super cool and they've been revamped. We're going to see that on our tour. There's been a lot of people who have come in and flipped homes there. It's pretty much already flipped. There's not a lot of good deals to be had left. Just above that is Murray Hill. That area is still kind of in the like 50-50, like 50% of the homes have been flipped, 50% still have some time.
Just north of that, you've got the urban core.
Yeah. And where this arrow is pointing is kind of is what we call Springfield. There's like Victorian homes. Again, those have been flipped. There's kind of an area. So it started off like never cross past 12th Street. And now it's like, oh, be careful past like 19th Street. So, it's kind of growing its area of being flipped.
Investors are coming in and flipping it, and it really turned around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
And the homes are beautiful and huge. And that's if you're going to find multifamily homes, that's the area you're going to find them in. There's a lot.
And they do a lot of parade of homes up there because they're just beautiful now.
But our actual like core downtown is not, people don't live there right now. It's like what came first, chicken or the egg? Like there's no restaurants, there's no shops. People come into work and then leave. So the restaurants can't stay in business. People aren't coming at night. So that's what some of that development that was on the slide for downtown Jacksonville. They're really trying to make some like restaurants built in with condominiums and just trying to bring people to actually stay and live in the downtown area.
And then I also want to ask you for your opinion about like how you, at first you said there's some houses that are really cheap and kind of on the older side that needs a lot of work. And then also kind of comparing of like, how costs are so expensive with the insurance and then also the new build. So do you have like a recommendation on strategies for investors? Like don't, for example, like, hey, don't go after the super, super cheap houses because potentially you're gonna have to replace your roof. You have to do this and you have to do that. Whereas, hey, if you're gonna put that much money in, why don't you invest into like, hey, a new build? Like, do you have any kind of rule of thumbs about those?
I think it kind of just depends on situation by situation and what you have and what you can spend and what deal we can get you. If you have the capital to do the new roof and it still makes sense with your down payment, if you're financing, we can get you a good deal on the price. I think it's gonna really depend.
It also depends on the quality of tenant that you want. I mean, we have some investors that want the HUD housing, because it's guaranteed, from the state. And then other people want the higher price for a better,
more stable tenant,
better tenant. So it just depends.
Yeah. Like my husband and I, we've purchased 3 new builds, and we have 1 condo. And then, what we just put an offer in on was a newer build in Green Cove Springs. So, but for us, we're trying to save our money, our liquid so that we can be able to buy more homes. So for us, it's more important to have a newer home because we're doing 15-year mortgages so that in hopes that when 15 years hits, that's when things will start, we got to replace the water heater, worry about appliances and roof, and then we'll be able to save up more for that. But that's our strategy and that's what we feel comfortable doing because we're trying to save our cash for other projects. So, I think it just kind of depends on what your comfort level is. And once we kind of talk one-on-one with you, we'll be able to.
2 older homes that need new roofs and we've had to replace the HVACs, but it's in an area that's close to where we live. And that's our strategy. I don't want anything too far away. I want it close by so that, if there is an emergency, we are close.
And then how's your Section 8 rental market?
It's actually pretty good. So I have, I assume if you're asking, you're already kind of familiar with how it breaks down. So, I don't know. Sorry, my Siri is like going off. I'm trying to stop it. I don't know. Okay, sorry. So there are a lot of opportunities. I have one investor who she's strictly like, that's all she wants. So we look at a lot of those houses, but they're not going to be in great shape. And they're not going to be in great areas of town, but it's just her guarantee. Yeah.
Payment.
And there's plenty of areas in town that, again, Jacksonville is so huge that there are plenty of areas that the Section 8 makes sense. And you'll get, we typically focus on looking for 4-bedroom homes, doesn't matter the square footage. And, she likes things that are a little bit more move-in ready. So she's looking more around the like $120,000 range. And then, but yeah, there's a huge market for it.
And then with the Section 8 rental, are the rents that you guys may have seen or are getting, are they close to the market value of regular rent?
Yeah, so the zip code she's looking in is typically about $1,200 a month. So if you're getting, $115,000 house, you're breaking even right around there too. So
right. And for listeners who are listening, that's actually really, really good because I know a lot of us, we are from California and our Section 8 vouchers are nowhere near the rental market. They're actually severely low. And so it's actually very difficult to find housing for those who are on Section 8 vouchers.
Oh, well, if you're looking for Section 8, I mean, there are $120,000 houses left and right. I mean, you just got to be prepared that you may need to put some work into it or,
right.
As long as you know what you're doing with the rental side of it.
Yep. And then based on this map, are there like certain parts that you would say that might be good for the section people who want to invest in the Section 8 places, or maybe another neighborhood you recommend for flips?
Well, the Section 8 is going to be downtown, the urban core, which is right where her mouse is. That was kind of Murray Hill and Riverside. So it's going to be just kind of north of that. Yeah.
This
And
whole
then,
area here. And then also, there's some areas on the west side here, that'll be good for it as well.
and also on the west side is great for flips because they are older homes
Mhm.
and there's not a lot of HOAs over there. So it's, I'd say that's a good spot. to
I
be
also
as
feel like
well.
Arlington is the next hotspot for flips because people want to live there. It's kind of a street by street. Is it a good area or not? And so a lot of people have started flipping there because first-time home buyers, that's their price point. I actually just went under contract with a first-time home buyer and they're going to be in Arlington, and they bought a house that was flipped because it was they got it at 280, it appraised at 300, and to get a 3-bedroom house on the east side of the river under 300 is
Amazing.
yeah, it's so hard to do. So yeah, so that's, I also think a good area for flipping is kind of that Arlington area.
Right. And then I also want to give kind of people an update if they're not noticing or not paying attention to the lending world, is that there are changes with the Freddie and Fannie Mae for lending, where you can't do a cash out refinance. Now it used to be 6 months, but now it's actually 12 months. So people who are planning to do the BRRRR method, this is something that they have to pay attention to. However, this does not apply to those who are doing a delayed financing. So if there are folks who are doing all cash and then doing a delayed financing, meaning you pay everything with cash first and then you take another loan to get the money back out, this is still doable. But people just kind of watch out for that if that was your original plan. So
I also think this Orange Park area too is because those are a little bit older homes. You're close to the naval base. And so a lot of those just need some TLC and some love. So if we can get a good deal in there, that's also another good area to be for a flip.
Yeah.
nice. And then I also heard you mentioned you own properties yourself and have rentals. Are you guys like managing them yourselves, or are you mostly going through like a property manager?
We manage ours ourselves. Again, they're close to where we live. So within 5-10 minutes. So we don't really feel the need for that. Elaine, on the other hand, she does have a property manager.
Yeah. We just felt like we had so many, we just didn't want to deal with everything. So we hired somebody to help us out.
And this is what I love about working with agents who are actually investors themselves, because you guys can see kind of what we're imagining and anticipate the situation that we have.
Yeah.
But you can see we're totally different.
Yeah.
She's got a property manager. I don't. I have older homes. She's got newer ones. So it just depends.
Yeah.
Elaine's ready to scale up. She's like, I hate toilets. I'm going to focus on what I'm really good at, which is getting good deals, and let someone else do all the hard work.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. And then Millie, who's actually going to our Florida field trip, she asked a really good question about the property management for referrals. Yes, we do have referrals to help you guys with this. We are partnered with Specialized Property Management, who have an office over in Jacksonville, also in Orlando. They will even help you with, like, if you're looking for something that's to flip or, to fix up and then rent out, they will be able to support you no matter whatever your size of your project is. So Millie, don't worry, we're going to have someone that will take care of you, and you can go ahead and buy some of the 35,000 ugly houses, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not really a good idea though.
We're actually meeting with Nick tomorrow to also get on the same page so that we can all be able to give you his information, and he can help when you're touring Jacksonville too.
Exactly. So don't worry, for those who are coming out to the trip with us. We do have the property management teams who have access to the rental comps for us. So that way, when we're all working closely as a team, when you're buying something, we want something to kind of just check for rentals. Like, we have someone who knows what's going on. They're also going to be joining us on the tour itself. So when we're going to be going to both like the long-term rental properties, they'll tell us, like, kind of what kind of fixes they might recommend you so that you can get up to your maximum rent, how much that might cost, and so that will help you with making your decision. Same thing in Orlando. We're going to have a really Great America Vacations, who focuses on short-term rentals, and also is going to be doing the same thing for us as we do the tours. So we're going to try and get you like as much information as we can while you're on the tour to help you make the best decisions. Okay. So any other questions you guys have for us? I think that's all the ones I have. All right. Elaine and Meshell, would you like to close off?
Yes.
We're super excited to meet you guys.
I know, I can't
We are-
wait.
we're
We've been
so
ordering
ready.
so much fun
Yes,
swag for
we
you
have
guys. We got all kinds of gifts for you. We've been
Fun
collecting.
swag
Yeah.
and hopefully a great trip
Yeah.
planned. We've been working really hard on this.
Yeah, we really, really love our city and cannot wait to show it to you guys.
And I'm actually particularly interested in the Jacksonville side because for some of our friends who might know is that we're kind of trying to teach you a little bit of different topics for, this for new investors, or if you guys are going to be experienced. And particularly in Jacksonville, there's such a variety for us to practice and learn with. They have the strong rental market. There's going to be flips. There's like the new development side. And then also a special thing that we're going to be doing in Jacksonville, we'll be talking about the large multifamily apartments and syndications. So for those who say, hey, I've owned too many already, or, man, I'm so sick of toilets. This is so tiring. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to remember how to pay, property taxes and all of that. So for the people who are a little bit on the lazier side, want to be more passive, we will have a workshop on syndications. And then we're actually flying in one of our sponsors for Cash Flow Marketplace, who will give us a lesson on that. And one of our friends, Chris Tao, you guys all probably heard of him from our, and if you're a long-term SARE member, Nelson and Chris, they actually own an apartment building. Well, not like own them, but they're the syndicators, the lead syndicators for an apartment in Jacksonville. So we're going to be checking it out, touring it, learning how they were almost able to double the value in only about less than 12 months. I think it's about 8 months, but based on their investors' money. So there's going to be a variety of topics for you guys to learn about, and we're really excited. So kind of to wrap things up on my side, I'm going to let everyone know that after 2.5 years of spending all my Thursdays from 5 to 6 o'clock with you guys, we're going to be changing up the schedule a little tiny bit. We're going to be switching over to 6 p.m. from now on, because something called a W-2 is making me work on Thursdays again, something called, what's this ugly, horrible term, return to office thing. So they're making me pretend to work. So from now on, we are going to be switching over to the every other Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific or 9 p.m. Eastern. So the next class that we're going to go back to the bi-weekly schedule. That'll be in 2 weeks in February. And we're going to do a little bit new topic this time, because we've been talking about real estate so much already. But a lot of us also need to learn more about financial planning and asset planning. So I'm going to be starting a new series soon called It Depends. And it's going to be a lot of topics on real estate taxes and legal stuff. And basically at the end of all of the, the answer to all of the questions that you're going to give our SARE advisors team is going to be, it depends, because they're so great at not answering the question, but kind of answering the question and kind of not. So we'll be doing a little bit of that. And for those who are in the Bay Area tomorrow, if you guys are in the East Bay, I'm actually going to be meeting up with our CPA dude and our attorney to kind of map out the class that's going on. But the first episode will be coming out in about 2 weeks with Davis Yu. And we're going to learn more about the living revocable trust and how you guys can set that up, and what are the benefits of that. So we're super excited for that. And then a reminder for Florida trip, you guys can still sign up for the trip up until the end of next week. And then if you guys need the link, go back to our Facebook group for that. But other than that, thank you everyone for tonight. I can't wait to see you guys in Florida. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.